Hey everyone, I was trying to get on here at 1 o'clock, but it wouldn't connect. So now we are connected. I feel like my shirt's all funky. It's okay. Today I'm going to be talking about 3 ways to own your life this summer. And for those of you who don't know me, my name is Amy Coleman'sberger, and I am a mother of 6, and we home educate, and I write for women in the middle years of life and faith and parenting at middlemercies.com. And so I have been thinking a lot about summer, and I don't have some great summer plan yet. My kids just ended school last week, and I've been busy getting ready for our vacation this week and releasing some things on my blog. And so I haven't given summer a ton of thought, but I have given it some broad thought. And so it's those broad thoughts that I wanted to share with you today, because we are transitioning to a new season, and many of us don't handle transitions well. We think that we can just keep doing the same rhythm and the same things that we've been doing, and we are mystified when they don't work anymore. And so here's the good news. We are in transition. And so let's just name it for what it is. We are in a transition to summer. And as you know, for those of you who have given birth, transition is a very challenging time. It's painful. You are near having your new baby and in a new season, but there's a lot of pain and you think it won't stop and all the things. So transitions are sometimes challenging. So these first few weeks when our kids are out of school are usually challenging, because we're trying to find our new rhythm and our new way of living and being together. Especially, my kids have been in a 2-day-a-week homeschool hybrid for the school year, and so I'm used to having my Tuesdays and Wednesdays. So this is my first Tuesday where my 5 sons are at home right now. And so I don't know how this live is going to go, because they've all been yelling and screaming for the last 10 minutes. So we'll see. They're supposed to be in quiet time right now. So I'm having to figure out, what is my new thing? Like, how are we going to navigate this so that we all feel good and we all feel connected and like we're living well and healthily with each other. So, what does it mean to own your life? I borrow that phrase from Sally Clarkson. She is an older mother and mentor to many. She's written many books. She has 4 children in their 20s and early 30s, and she really teaches women how to love their children well and how to own their own lives. And so I wrote down for myself what owning your life means. I haven't read Sally's book in a few years, and I couldn't find it on my shelves today, so I don't know where it is. But I wrote down, for me, what does it mean to own my life? And to own your life is to take responsibility. It's as simple as that. It's to take responsibility for your faith, your health, your home, your wellness, your marriage, your finances, your children, your things. It's to take responsibility. And it's not living in a blame victim mentality about the state of our marriage, about the state of our finances, about our backgrounds. We don't blame who we are or where we are on our past trauma. We don't blame our lives on our challenging children. Owning your life is to take responsibility for who you are and where you are in this season, and to move forward in health. And certainly all of those other things have influenced us or hurt us or changed us, but we can take those things that have happened to us and we can work through them with forgiveness, with God's grace, through prayer, through community. I mean, there's a whole host of things. So owning your life is to take responsibility. And it's not to live in a chronic state of blaming and victim mentality. And we all do that to an extent. We all, blame people for our bad day or the person who cut in front of us in traffic. Our default is to blame. That happened day 1 of the fall, is to blame. So it's human. We all do it, but we need to work through that. It's living a life of acceptance for who we are, where we are, with these limitations, these circumstances, the location where we live, these people that God has placed us with, but it's choosing to live it as well as we can. And we all have access to God's presence. We all have access to the fruit of the Spirit. We all have access to His Word. In this day and age, most of us all have access to the internet, which is a wealth of amazing information to help us heal and learn and grow and live better lives. But we have to figure out what it means for us to live well. And to live well, it takes work. And that's the bottom line too, is that a healthy, vibrant life does not fall on us. It just doesn't happen. It actually takes owning your life and working at it. I think our default setting is all to be yuck. I was about to use a bad word, but I won't do that on live. We all kind of revert to our worst selves and can so in any day, time, hour, any of that. And so it takes a proactive working towards growth. And I don't want it to sound like works, because God's grace flows through us, but we also have to open ourselves up to that grace and position ourselves in places to receive. And also there's just some real things of living in the world with mental health that requires us to learn and grow and to change and all of that. So, what are the 3 ways to own your life this summer? These are the 3 ways that I'm going to own my life this summer, and maybe some of these will help you. Number 1, create a daily rhythm for you and your children. Womp, womp. That sounds so fun, right? Create a daily rhythm. Here's the thing, though. If you just let them free range, it's not going to work. At least for my house, it won't. It did when my kids were like super little and I had like 2 of them, but now I have 6 teens, tweens, you know, all the ages. And so letting them just do whatever does not work. It will be mutiny and chaos in my home. So I have to have a daily rhythm this summer. I can't get around that. Otherwise, we will all fight, yell, scream, all the things, and we don't want to do that. And I want to say a little asterisk caveat to bucket lists. Now, all you bucket list lovers out there, don't send me hate mail. I think it's great that you do bucket lists. One of my friends was posting about her bucket list yesterday, and I was telling her how much I hated them. But I do want to give a little asterisk about bucket lists. Bucket lists are very fun. Summer bucket lists that you do with your kids that people make, and you can find them on Pinterest. They're very fun and they are proactive, but make sure that you are not your children's entertainment cruise director all summer. Those lists can be relentless in that you are constantly having to provide fun and entertainment for your kids, and all they want to do is all the fun things on the list. And so boredom is not an option to them. And for me, boredom is part of their summer. And so be careful with bucket lists, because you can end up being your children's entertainment coordinator, and that's exhausting, and that is no way to live a great summer. So for me, a 70s childhood, have y'all seen that post that went around for a couple years? I am all about a 70s childhood in the summer. Sprinklers, popsicles, cartoons, catching fireflies, board games, and being bored are totally valid ways to spend the summer. So don't bucket list your brains out and make yourself crazy having to do all these special moments and make your children's summer like magical. Don't do it. It's too much work. It's not sustainable. I always tell younger mothers, make the choices now in your summers that you're willing to do 15 years from now. And if you're not willing to do those same things for 15 years in a row, then don't start them now, because kids love traditions and they will hold you to them. So start traditions that are sustainable and doable and that you're willing to do for the long term. And for me personally, having 30 things that I have to make happen for their summers to make them magical is not something that I'm going to be about. So we will do fun things, but I'm not going to check them off, and I'm certainly not going to let my kids see them, because they'll like hold me accountable in all the wrong ways to do them. So bucket lists are fun, bucket lists are proactive, but you're not going to be living out the bucket lists every day all summer. Like, the bucket list can't sustain you Monday morning at 8 till Monday evening at 6. So you need to come up with some sort of rhythm of what their day is going to look like. And if there isn't a daily rhythm, then they're going to live for entertainment. They're going to fight, they're going to whine, they're going to beg. And so every day cannot be a bucket list day, and you need to figure out what that dailiness is going to look like. And that's a non-glamorous way of looking at summer, but it's the doable, like long-term healthy way to do summer. So for me, when my kids wake up, the first thing that they're going to do is they're going to eat breakfast. And my kids get breakfast on their own. I do not fix them a hot breakfast. That was the amazing mom of like 6 years ago. I don't do pretty little yogurt parfaits anymore, baked oatmeal, waffles, pancakes, scrambled eggs. What can I fix you? No, my kids eat cereal most of the time because something's got to give, and I can't be in the kitchen all day providing all these amazing things. So they get their own breakfast, and they usually get their own lunches. And I try to, provide some different variety, but for the most part, I'm not fixing their breakfast every day. So they fix their breakfast, they need to get dressed, and they have chores to do. So if your kids are in school full time and they're not used to doing chores and chipping in, summer is the time that they need to be doing that. You want to raise kids who eventually can live with roommates and not be the bad roommate who didn't know how to do dishes and their laundry and how to just live in community, like pick up your shoes and move them, because we all don't want to trip over your shoes. So summer is a great time to do breakfast, get dressed, do your chores, and then what we do is we watch some TV. I have no guilt, no shame over TV. No more purist stuff about 10 years ago of, don't give them screens, it'll kill them, or make sure they only watch a 20-minute show on PBS. No, I don't care. They can watch an hour of Ninjago. I'm totally fine with that. So when you parent for so long, you just got to pick your things. And so it's totally fine for your kids to watch some TV. So we watch TV. And then I have written down a list of things, and I haven't inputted these things yet into how it's going to roll in our day, but they're going to have a Lego time where I say you need to go play Legos for the next 45 minutes. And timers are your friend in the summer. And if they want to go to the pool, but you're not going, to the pool, ours doesn't open till like 11, then you say, hey, we are not going to the pool until chores are done and you've gone and you've played for Legos for 45 minutes or whatever. Like, it's totally acceptable to hold things over your kids' heads to motivate them. I'm going to sound like the most amazing mother in the world by the time this thing's done. Lego time, puzzle time. Have plenty of puzzles that you've bought on Amazon. 100-piece puzzles are great for kids. It can keep them busy for an hour. They can do a puzzle together. Art time. Some of you hate this. Some of you love it. Pick what kind of art works for you, but it's so great for kids to be creative. So pick your battle. Like, I won't ever do glitter in a million years, and I really hate Play-Doh. But I don't mind them cutting up a million pieces of paper. My kids will make snowflakes for hours. It's fine for them to make snowflakes in June. Who cares? Buy them a bunch of paper. There's paper airplane books. They can learn origami. Those are more non-messy ways of doing art. They can, branch out to watercolor and paint if you allow that. But find some very simple, doable art things that they can do in the summer. If your art supplies are all trashed right now from the school year, go buy fresh stuff. It's amazing when you just put out some fresh supplies, how much kids will gravitate towards it. Sometimes it's this simple. If you just take a piece of paper and put it at everybody's seat at the table and put fresh markers, fresh colored pencils, some fresh paint, and just sit them there, they will sit down and do. You kind of spread the feast for them. So art time. Another big thing that's going to be in my everyday is I'm going to read aloud to them. And if I don't read aloud to them, then I'm going to have an audio book that I can stream through my wireless speaker that they can sit and listen to. And they will need to do this for at least 30 minutes. And so either I'm going to read to them 30 minutes or they're going to listen to an audiobook for 30 minutes. And then we're going to have read alone time. So read aloud, read alone. Both of those, for me, are non-negotiables in the summer. So part of my motivating them this year for read alone time is on Thursdays. I have decided that we're going to have an afternoon book club. And that's as simple as I'm going to buy some cake from Publix, not putting the pressure on myself to make some beautiful cake. Buy a cake at Publix, slice it up, put it on a plate. My boys love hot tea. We might do cold tea, lemonade, doesn't matter. Cake, drink, and we're going to have book club, and you're going to share with us about whatever book that you read that week. And we've done this as a poetry tea time in the past, and my kids love it. Like, it's so simple. And I thought my boys would hate it, and they absolutely love it. They now plan their own poetry tea times. They will go fix hot tea and find snacks and sit down and read poetry to each other. But this year I decided that we would take some, probably Thursday. I say Thursdays, but we'll see what actually works. But each week we're going to discuss the books that we've read, whether you've listened to a book, whether you flipped through a picture book, like Henry can't read yet, so he can just bring us his picture book and show it to us and tell us what he liked about it. But a fun weekly rhythm that we're going to start as a book club idea. Very simple. They have to have outside time every day, at least an hour. I'd say that for every hour, half hour that you allow for screens, whether that's just watching TV, a movie, or playing video games, also have that same amount of time outdoors. So make sure they're getting just as much nature as they are artificial light stuff on their face. I don't do that perfectly, not in a million years, but I do try to be mindful of, have you been outside enough today? If you don't own a trampoline, you should. I know people have all kinds of issues with trampoline, but it's been one of the best things we've ever owned with having sons, is they need to go jump, they need to get their energy out. Another thing that I do is a quiet time, non-negotiable, every afternoon for an hour. That's why I'm able to do this Facebook Live right now at 1, is because 1 o'clock is quiet time. So it is actually now very quiet in my house. All 5 boys are off they're by themselves. You cannot be in the same room with another human because they will talk. So quiet time in the summer for 1 hour, that's when they can do their read alone time. They can play, they can draw, whatever, but they are alone. Another thing is tweens and teens, and this is where it, for me, has been the most challenging in the summers, is when you have younger kids, they play. Tweens and teens don't play anymore. So they're kind of like, what do I do? They either want to be on their phones, they want to go do something, which that's not always feasible for us to go do. Like Katie's gone today, but she's a driver now. So she's out with a friend and they're shopping and hanging out. That's great. But if you have like a 14-year-old and they're not driving and they're not playing with toys anymore, they just want to sit on their screens. And for me, that's the hardest age to figure out in the summer. And I do not have this nailed. Few ideas that I have. Summer is a great time to help them learn some life skills. Start teaching them how to cook. Make them get into the kitchen with you at lunchtime. Teach them to make a pot of soup. Teach them how to make a great salad. Teach them how to bake muffins. Start requiring them to cook 1 meal a week for the family, whether that's a breakfast, a lunch, or a dinner. Or you could do 1 meal a day. They need to provide 1 meal a day for themselves and their siblings. You're in charge of breakfast today. What are you going to cook everybody? So teach your teens in the summers how to cook. Simple stuff. If they don't know how to scramble eggs, teach them to scramble eggs. I'm not talking major stuff here. Teach them how to clean lettuce and chop it up. If they don't know how to do that already, teach them the basics. I love teaching my teens how to make a salad. Add a fruit, add a nut, add a cheese, add a meat. It's delicious. Have them apply for jobs if they haven't already. It's a little late in the game if they want to get a summer job, but filling out applications, even for next school year, for a part-time job, start teaching them how to apply for jobs. Katie was able to get a job at Tropical Smoothie when she was 15. Sam started working at Salsaritas either right at 15 or maybe right after he turned 16. I feel like he was 15 too. Have them volunteer. My teens have volunteered at VBSs at local churches. So if your church or some other churches that you know are doing VBSs, VBS always needs volunteers, and teens are fantastic at VBSs. They take a weight off the workers, and they bring a lot of fun and a lot of energy, and my kids actually love volunteering for that and ask to do that every year. So look around to see if your teens can volunteer for VBS. Also, they can volunteer at the library. My local library, my teens have volunteered there for several years. It's only like 5 hours a week, I feel like it was, but that was 5 hours that I wasn't trying to entertain them. So pre-job, get your young teens volunteering. Volunteer at the church, volunteer for VBSs, Of course, we're involved in Boy Scouts, so they have volunteering opportunities with that. Volunteer at the library. See if your local parks, start brainstorming that. Babysitting, if they're not already certified, get your kids certified, whether they're boys or girls, in babysitting. And some people don't care if your kids aren't certified. My son, who's 14, babysits every Monday for a women's Bible study. He does it with 2 college-age girls, and the kids love John the most because he's a blast. He's so much fun, and he makes $15 doing that a week. So for a 14-year-old, $60 a month. Hey, it buys him his candy that he likes. So figure out babysitting situations. My older teens, Katie's going to lead a book study in a couple weeks with a friend for some high school girls. So maybe encourage your older kids to lead a book study or a book club or a Bible study. Make them come up with a reading list of books that they want to read for the summer. I printed one out from the Storyformed website for my son Will, who's 11, and they had recommendations for, I have it taped on the wall, 10-year-old boys and 10-year-old kids and 12-year-old kids. So he printed off both of them, and he's picked out 10 that he wants to read, and I've already requested them from the library and have started picking them up, and he's already read 2. So have your tweens and teens come up with reading lists. If they hate reading, require audiobooks. So important. It really is. I give my teens a lot of room, but reading is one of those things that I really try to push because it's just something that's going to serve them for the rest of their lives. And have your tweens or teens come up with a summer project, a writing project, a video project, an art project. Have them write a play. My kids have written fight scenes with lightsabers and Nerf guns and filmed it and learned to edit it. And I feel like having them come up with a bigger term project also helps fill their time. And if they ask them, what resources do you need for me to help you with your project? But have them do some sort of project or several projects over the summer. Have them brainstorm ideas, have them come up with a list of what they need, take them to get what they need, be willing to invest in what they want to do, and have them have dedicated time every day to work on their project. There's a website called Project Based Homeschooling, and they've got some great ideas for projects. And the last thing for teens and tweens that's really important is exercise. Man, we just sit so much. And so I am requiring, like my son John, who's 14, he's going to be doing some homeschool football again, and so I've started making him go running every day. And I thought, well, why was I not making him do this anyway? So I'm requiring them to run at least 1 mile to 2 miles a day. They need it so badly. So if they're not getting out on the trampoline or whatever, they need to be exercising. If you have a gym membership, have your teens go to the gym. But it's so easy for them to lay around and be lazy, and then they have these horrible attitudes, and they really need those endorphins. So figure out your daily rhythm for having your teens exercise. And your little ones get exercise anyway. So weekly rhythm, we plan on going to the pool, not every day, but several times a week. We plan on going to the library, maybe the zoo. We get really hot here, and I just find that absolutely miserable to walk around that place when it's so hot. Museums are great. Take a day trip somewhere. Summers are a great time to take field trips that you weren't able to get to during the year. Go see state parks. Go see historic sites that you haven't seen. My kids love seeing war sites. We go to 96. We've been to Cowpens. We've been to Camden. We've been to so many of them. And it's such a great way to take a day, pack a picnic, and go see your state. So that's good to do. I can't do that weekly. That's too much for me. But once or twice a month is great. Like even if I picked 4 places in my state that we want to see this summer that we haven't seen before, that's great. And let's see. I think that's all I had for that. So come up with a rhythm. Much more than a bucket list, come up with a rhythm. And once you have your rhythm in place, then you can take those fun bucket list things if you have them and start plugging them in. But if you just have this giant list of like 30 things we want to do, it starts getting overwhelming and you burn out, because guess what? You're going to try to do like 10 of them the very first week and you'll hate your life. So figure out the rhythm of what you want your days to feel like. Make sure it's creative, Legos, exercise, life skills, books, screens, all of it. And, say this is what you're doing for the next hour. And I just set the kitchen timer on the microwave and everyone can hear it. And when it rings, you can either keep doing what you're doing or you can start doing something else. But that might sound regimented to some of you, but that's because I have so many kids, and if I don't have a stronger rhythm for them, they will fight like crazy. And I'm sorry, my nose is so itchy today. My allergies are insane, so I'm trying not to totally claw myself, but I'm very allergy ridden this time of year. All right, so number 2, this Facebook Live is going to be a little bit long because there's a lot of stuff. I mean, there's 3 things, but I'm unpacking them. Number 2 is tidy your nest. Summer is a great time to own your life by tidying your nest. Especially if you're a homeschooler, you probably have a million broken pencils, a lot of curriculum, a lot of broken art supplies. It's time to regroup your home. And this can be so much fun. I love taking the summers and rebooting my house because nothing feels better than to start August with everything fresh again and everything restocked again and all the junk thrown away. So I don't recommend this like these first 2 weeks. Like I'm like, just chill and enjoy yourself, but think through a plan for tidying your nest this summer. It's a great time to reassess whether your rooms are actually serving your family or not. If a child needs to move to a different bedroom, if where you've done school before, like in our dining room, doesn't work anymore, and now we do it in our office. And for years and years and years, we did it in our dining room. And finally last year, after we got our new floors put in, I was like, no, I am tired of my dining room being a school. I don't want to do this anymore. I want my dining room to just be peaceful and calm and no furniture in it, and for it to be very minimalist. And so I didn't bring in back any of that school stuff. I got rid of most of it, and I now make our office the place where we do the majority of our school. I really decluttered and became a minimalist in that area, and now I love the way that we spend so much time in our office, because this is one of the sweetest little rooms in our house, and it was so underutilized. So think through your rooms, if you're using them the way that you want to, if they're serving your family the best way. And I would encourage you to do like a declutter challenge over the summer and really focus on toys and clothes, and if you homeschool, curriculum. Really getting that stuff under control makes life just feel so much better. So think through, some people will do 100 things or something like that, but I would encourage you to start thinking through, when can I start getting rid, sorting, all of that. And maybe you just do kids stuff, or maybe you just do homeschool stuff, or maybe your kitchen is just crazy and you're very ineffective in your cooking and in your pantry and you need to tackle that. But really try to declutter your house over the summer and figure out what that looks like. Like last year for me, that was really tackling my attic. We've lived in this house 11 years and I really wanted to get the attic done. And so that was my main focus. And this year it's going to be our shed, because it's crazy town in there, and my closet. So another thing I would say in tidying your nest is this is a great time to get some deep cleaning done. I didn't have time to do a big spring cleaning this year. So my, kitchen needs everything taken off all the counters and for them to be completely wiped down. All my cabinet fronts. I kind of try to wipe those as I go, but just to totally take everything out of my pantry, wipe it all down. What I'm going to try to do is pick one room to do every week to 2 weeks to deep clean. Wipe all the baseboards, clean the ceiling fans, clean the windows in that room. Dust. I'm terrible about dusting, hence me scratching my nose constantly. So think through weekly cleaning. And what I would do is pull out your planner and write all this down. Like I am going to write down for like that week of June 5th That's going to be my kitchen week. That's what I want to tackle. But if you just keep it up in your head and hope that it happens, it's not going to happen. So I'm going to write in my planner for June 5th, kitchen week. And for that day, I'm just going to try to tackle one or two things. I'm not going to try to get the whole kitchen done in a day. That's what I've always done in the past, and I end up being grumpy and fussing at everybody and being horrible to live with. So I'm going to try to break it up over the week so I don't burn out. And then the next week, I'm going to do my laundry room. And then the week after that, I'm going to try to tackle the 2 bathrooms and try to just really deep clean the house over the summer. So number 1 was build a daily rhythm, a weekly rhythm for your summer with your kids. And I gave you some ideas on how to do that besides just a bucket list. Number 2 is tidy your nest, figure out what your house needs, what needs to be painted, what rooms need to be rearranged. Don't try to do the whole house this summer. Just pick a couple things to work on. But do try to get deep cleaning done. This is such a great time of year to do that. And you will thank yourself in August when they go back to school and your house is more orderly and clean. And number 3, the last thing is schedule self-care. Body, soul, and spirit. And for your body, what does that mean? Does that mean allowing yourself to sleep in a little later? Does that mean, for me, that means make an appointment with the dermatologist to get some of my moles checked, because I haven't done that in a very long time, and I feel like I need to do that. For some of you, it may need to be to get a physical, or to go to your OB because you haven't been in a while, or to get a mammogram, or you may not go to the dentist every 6 months and you need to get your teeth cleaned. So what does your body need this summer? Do you need more exercise? Do you want to go swimming? Think through, how am I going to take care of my body this summer? How am I going to eat? How am I going to sleep? Do I need to see a doctor? What's just a couple things I can do to take care of my body this summer? Your soul. How are you going to take care of your soul this summer? For me, I really like to read a lot. And so for me, feeding my mind is to make sure that I have a really great reading list. And sometimes I like to take a course. Since I am not so busy homeschooling, I really love to take online courses. I find them so helpful and so valuable. And so one of my goals in the next couple weeks is to investigate some online classes and to see what I would want to take a class on. Another thing for my soul care is Mike and I are going to get back to the rhythm of his taking the kids to the pool every Wednesday night. He likes to come home from work and he changes clothes, and I have all the kids ready in their swimsuits, and they all go to Little Caesars, they grab $5 pizzas, and he takes them to the pool for 2 hours. And that is my time for just some self-care. I sometimes just sit and watch Netflix, like when I was so into Gilmore Girls and Parenthood, that was that time. Or I just get myself takeout and I enjoy a meal by myself. Sometimes I'll do something creative, but it's just some time to have some quiet in my house. And for those of you that are introverts, you need to be making sure that you're getting that in the summer when you have so many kids and so much activity and noise around you. Becky asked me, how do I get through books with the kids and all the other things that I juggle? I read a lot at night. I usually start reading around 9:30, and I usually read for 2 hours. And I'm also a really quick reader, and so I don't know. I've just always been a reader, and I'm able to get through books really quickly. I usually read for an hour in the afternoons every day, so I'm reading probably 3 hours a day. That's just my go-to. I choose that over TV, but even if I watch a show at night with Mike or a movie, I still read after that for a solid 30 to 45 minutes. That's just in my DNA. So I just make it happen. Another thing that I do is I look up local VBSs and send my kids to those, and it's harder and harder to find VBSs that are daytime ones, but I have found a couple here, and so I sign my kids up for VBS. And this year Mike is going with 3 of our boys to a Boy Scout summer camp, and during that week there's also a VBS. So my little boys will go to VBS and everyone else will be at Boy Scout camp, and me and Katie will have our mornings quiet. So that is in July. I'm very much looking forward to that. But there's lots of art camps. There's so many things like that to look out for. And so look out for VBS's, art camps, all of that don't cost a lot of money. There's so many churches that offer great things like that. And especially if you're a homeschooling mom and you spend all year with your kids, VBS feels like the homeschooling mom's vacation week. I'm not even kidding. I've had breakdowns during that week before because I couldn't believe how amazing it was to just have some quiet mornings. I'm also going to have Katie take my kids to Regal Cinemas on Tuesdays for their $1 movies. She drives now, and so she can do that and then take them out to eat lunch. In the past, I have hired a summer babysitter to come. I could only afford her, I think it was 2 times a month. I don't think I did it weekly. I might have said that I did it weekly, but I think it was 2 times a month. But I had her come. She was in her late 20s, and I very much trusted her. She was a great driver. And so she would come to the house at like 9 and pick up the kids, and she would take them to the zoo, or she would take them to the South Carolina State Museum, and she would take them out to eat lunch, and they would go to the library, and I paid her to take my kids out all day because I don't want a sitter to come here and me be gone all day. I don't want to be gone all day. I want to actually be in my house. I love being in my house. So consider hiring a sitter to take your kids out, and they have so much fun and they get so much energy out. My kids have such great memories of Miss Jess, and she's moved, of taking them places, and she had all the energy in the world to do all that, and I do not. So it was wonderful, and they came home about 4, and I let them watch a show, and I cooked dinner, and it was just lovely. So consider finding a sitter. Ask around. College students and up are great ages for that, to take your kids out for the day, even twice a month. Huge game changer, y'all. Let me see what else I had for self-care. Body, soul, spirit. Really, I can't tell you how to take care of yourself. You just need to brainstorm, how am I going to schedule self-care? The last thing I want to mention in that is that I have created a resource called How to Create Your One-Woman Retreat. And for me, this is one of my best ways of summer self-care. I try to take a weekend retreat every July. For me, it's usually for vision and planning for my new year, for mothering and home educating, and just getting my head on straight before all the busyness of fall comes. Last summer, I made it actually a prayer and spiritual renewal retreat, and it was just a beautiful, beautiful time. But retreats don't have to be weekends. Retreats can be a full day. Retreats can be half a day. They can be a couple hours. But I would encourage you to go to my blog, middlemercies.com, and sign up for this resource. You get 5 days of videos that show you how to plan a retreat. I give you kind of the purposes behind them, places that you can take retreats, a plan, and the hard things with retreats, the true real pressure points of retreats, mainly mom guilt. I talk about that. But today I got out my calculator, y'all, and I added up how many hours there are in a year. So I did 365 times 24 hours. That's 8,760 hours a year. And you are spending most of those with your kids. There's been years where I've literally spent probably all 8,760 of them with my kids. If you took 2 48-hour retreats in a year, that's 96 hours out of 8,760 hours. That's 1.1% of your year. Please do not feel guilty for taking 1.1% of your year for 2 weekend retreats so that you can refill your well, so that you can love others well. Moms get depleted and they get depressed, and they then get irritable and grumpy and frustrated and touchy and rude and unkind and all the things we don't want to be. I don't know a single mom who wants to be those things to their kids, but you're human with human limits, and you're not God. You don't have infinite energy. You don't have infinite grace. You don't have infinite patience. You're dust. And so you have to honor the fact that you need sleep. Number one thing, You need rest. You need some quiet so your brain can just rest and start gathering its thoughts and putting your thoughts in order. You need to eat, like not off your kids' plates, like a real meal. You need time to just be a human being in the world. And it just makes me so sad that moms and women treat themselves like slaves. And you don't feel and honor your worth in the way that God sees you. And you think that God is slave driving you to death into servanthood. And that is not his heart for you. And that wasn't Jesus. Jesus is our model. He retreated. He pulled away from the masses and spent time alone with the Father. And so if Jesus, who's perfect, did that, why do we think that we're above that? So my heart for you too is to learn this summer a rhythm of retreat, whether that's, I think it should be daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, yearly. I think it's a rhythm. I don't think it's, well, I won't go into it because that's my course. But anyway, just keep in mind that for you to go away for one weekend out of a year would be like 0.5% of all the hours that are in a year. So it's really not too much to ask. And so many times moms feel like, well, I feel bad asking my husband to do that. But your husband's the father of your kids. He's not a babysitter. He's a dad. And so dads having that time with their kids is wonderful. And they create their own relationship and their own memories and their own wild ways of doing things that are right and healthy. And it is healthy for the mom to step away from all of that and not to micromanage and to let her husband do and parent and be in the house and with the kids in ways where she's not influencing it. So that's my little pitch to you. Schedule self-care, and one of those things is a retreat. And so if you haven't signed up for my resource, go to middlemercies.com, and the very first post will show you how to do that. And if you're watching this live later and that post is no longer there, I have a button up at the top tab that says retreat, and you can click on that and it will explain more about the content, and you can sign up to receive that. So quick recap. For owning your life this summer, establish a daily rhythm. This is owning your day. It's owning your schedule. It's owning the tone of your home. Don't let summer just be this wild thing that runs away from you and your day feels terrible. So own your days. Make a plan for your home, for cleaning it, reorganizing it, getting it back where it needs to be before you start a new school year. Owning the life in your home and owning the aspect of your home will just feed you and feed your family so much. Don't let it overwhelm you. Just pick 1 or 2 rooms to maybe deal with this summer. Try to get some deep cleaning done. It'll feel so good. And the third way of owning your life this summer is to schedule self-care, to figure out maybe a babysitter, Wednesday nights like I do at the pool, scheduling doctor's appointments if you've neglected yourself in that way, maybe signing your kids up for some VBSs, reading some books, taking some courses, figuring out how does mom need to grow this summer so that she can be her best and her healthiest. So that's all that I have for you today. If you have any questions or thoughts or ideas or ways that you're going to own your life this summer, I would love to hear in the comments. Usually I get off of here and then I read all the comments and I respond to them. So I pray that as we're getting towards the end of May that you take some time, take a couple hours this week to get alone, maybe go to the library and think through your summer. Not just a bucket list of activities for your kids, but think through you this summer and think through your dailiness and how you want your summer to feel, and get it down on paper and then start scheduling it in your planner, because if we just keep it all up here, it just never happens. So write it down so that it'll get done. And I love connecting with you all, and I have such a wonderful group of women who always show up for me here, and I appreciate it so much. So I hope you have a wonderful day.